Це 220.
Today is the 226th day of the Russia-Ukraine war. We are beginning our briefing at the Ukraine Media Center. Today we'll be talking to Oleksandr Senkevych, the Mayor of Mykolaiv. Welcome, sir. Good morning. Mr. Mayor, we will begin with the general issues about the situation in this city. We are interested in what's going on in the city, the provision of the electricity or water supply, the functions of the local services. How does your city survive? Today in the night, we were attacked by the UAVs. One of the strikes took place beyond the city boundaries, and the other hit the roof of a building. Fortunately enough, there were no casualties. We are now dealing with the remnants of that strike, so no casualties today, which is good. Over the period of time, over this 226th day, over that period, we haven't suffered from the strikes only for 36 days. Recently, what we have seen are the attacks from the unmanned aerial vehicles made in Iran. Today, the casualties is of the number of 138 persons, one child including in that number. The damages that we have calculated are at the level of 97 billion hryvnias. These damages imply the communal services. These are the facilities that are likely to be restored or renewed. There have been facilities that have been completely ruined, and we are not in a position to evaluate those damages. And I am afraid that this will be in astronomical numbers. Schools and educational establishments have also been damaged, including 15 sports facilities, etc. In other words, the city is being bombed, and if we divide the city into different quarters and parts, every single part of the city has been attacked. What we are planning to do now is to launch the heating system in the city. What I'm saying is that today we have two suppliers of heat services. They're getting prepared with their networks, gauging their hydraulic facilities, testing them. The systems are being filled now, and they're filled at the level of 60% at one facility, and I'm not sure I have the particular numbers. As for the 100% of the heating facilities are ready to be up and running. A lot of issues now arise in terms of availability of natural gas. As the result of the bombings, more than 1,700 buildings have been damaged with different damages, including windows, doors, and so on. As of now, we think we have 220,000 people living in this city, and it also will have an impact on the water usage, and we are taking the data from the mobile operator. So we are talking somewhere in the ballpark of 220, 230,000 inhabitants. In many flats, we don't see people who will be regular dwellers, and we are taking care of that, since we see the repetition of the bombings, and sometimes the windows are being shattered for the second time, so we are not trying to restore windows at this point in time. We are using the state reserve funds and find local ability to keep up with the situation. We are also getting prepared with our boiler rooms, pipes, and everything. That is to say, we are ready for the emergency situation. Let me remind you that the war began when the heating period was in the heat of the season, so we have gained some experience now. The most serious problem is water supply, as you have rightly suggested. Today we are delivering water supplies through different mobile vehicles. We are taking ready that the schools and kindergartens are supplied with water. We have organized more than 130 points of water delivery. You see, when there is not enough pressure, these vehicles will not be able to deliver water. In the system, we have the water that we are getting from the southern Bug River. The Russian forces blew up the pipes. They're in diameter of 240 centimeters, 70 kilometers long. They were bombed, and in fact, the city was living for a month without any water supply. We have now are engaged in delivering water from the Pivdenny Bug River. So this is a salinated water going through our pipelines. We are facing a major problem today, that the city experiencing floods, and we have 50% of water losses that is running in the pipeline. That is to say, we are having half of the water supply leaking from the pipelines. All our boiler rooms have been supplied with the sewage system and clearing up facilities. We are adding special chemicals, and I am reminding the local dwellers that they should not be taking the water from the central heating system. That water is not drinkable. You will see that the color of water is very much a reminder not to use it to drink. This is the general situation. Thank you for this comprehensive brief. Mr. Mayor, there is a question here. When Ukrainian advance is completely successful, this will mean that Mykolaiv will enjoy the communication with nearby cities, the businesses will begin to operate, people will be coming back. How about today? You mentioned that about more than 200,000 people living. How resilient the city is to receive those who will be coming back? In the first place, I am not a military, I am a civilian mayor. And I don't think that we will get to the Kherson city, the only city that the Russians have been successful in occupying. And let me remind you that the city was captured not because of the strength of their forces, but because of the surprise attack. I think the Russians will be holding their territory the best they can. Why is it bad? You see, Mykolaiv is constantly under bombing attacks, and the rockets reach our city that are fired from Kherson city. It takes only 1 minute for rockets to get there. We know that the rockets have been fired in our direction, and before the air raid alarm is on, the rockets are here. You see, we have this black humor here in the city, saying that once you hear the air raid alarm, everything is okay. No rockets will be coming soon. Once you have heard the rocket, the air alarm raid has been late. So this is the situation. Hence, it should be noted that Deoccupation of the Kherson city is extremely important. And of course, we are resilient enough and ready to receive those who will be coming back. The only warning I have, business is very unsafe here. Business is not available in the city. You see, the rockets can be coming in every single minute. We are now getting prepared, the heating system, and we need all the information. And the information that we receive, the questions we receive, is that the facilities will be working and people will have to pay for these services. If we don't provide heating, your furnitures will be ruined, your floors will be ruined. That's why it is necessary to pay your bills. We believe that we will receive the budgetary help to replace our infrastructure. Question from the Ukrinform. Currently, what is the general state of the municipal budget? The business is not working, is not coming back. There was an information that there are no resources for you to compensate for the deficit in budget. This is a good question. Let me remind you once again, and I'm stressing the point that we are being constantly bombed, and the major taxpayers have not been working, including major facilities, state-run organizations. Neither great businesses, neither small businesses or medium-sized businesses are not working. What is available in this city is micro businesses. We only have 4 restaurants working in the place, which is indicative of the general state. Some hairdressers are working, and of course there are shops open and available. That is why the revenue of the budget has decreased. Yes, of course, people are paying taxes. Let me remind you that before the full-scale invasion, the city of Mykolaiv was most militarized city in Ukraine at the level of the military units and divisions here. And we are surviving only because the military are paying their taxes and we receive some revenue to the budget. People are not paying taxes on the immovable property. The military are only our major taxpayers. As I reported at the sitting of the Association of the City Mayors of Ukraine, and I briefed them on the current situation, and I stressed that it doesn't make sense to take our revenues of the local budget into the state budget. Otherwise, we will not be able to provide electricity or water supply. The decision has been passed that the budget for 2023 for our city will be at the level as it was before this year, provided that the business is continuing to work. We will have some revenues to the local budget. Another question. The city of Mykolaiv is not only a powerful military unit, but a powerful educational city. You have a lot of universities. How your universities and educational institutions and schools have begun this academic year? Back in the month of August, we passed a decision that offline education will not be delivered in this city. We calculated that out of 90,000 pupils, there were only 10,000 pupils ready to go to school. It didn't make sense, we thought, for these pupils to go to school in person. A lot of schools have been attacked. 2 of those have been completely damaged. 4 universities and different buildings have been ruined. And in some schools there are no doors nor windows, so there is no way we can deliver offline education. Hence, we passed a decision that the academic year 2022-23 will exclusively be conducted in an online format. Part of the children are taking part in the educational process online from the places where they're actually living. As for the universities, some of them were relocated. 3 national universities, Pedagogical University, Shipbuilding, and Black Sea National University were fired at. Their buildings have been damaged by the S-300 rockets. Part of the student population began the educational process, including people who are staying here in the city, and the university students are being taught offline. Thank you very much, sir, for the information. We have been talking to Oleksandr Senkevych, the city mayor of Mykolaiv. The next brief will take place at 1200. We'll be talking to Serhiy Klan, the member of the Kherson Regional Council. We'll be talking about the situation in the Kherson region. Stay tuned.